We've been winning over the last couple of months that I forgot what a loss feels like. But that's what happened this past week. The Eagles lost for the first time in 11 weeks, 10 weeks, 11 weeks, however long it's been, in a game to the Washington Commanders, 36-33. It sucks. Don't get me wrong. It does. It is not a good feeling that we lost this game. But the way I choose to look at it is that we were we were due for a loss. That's the first thing. We were due for a loss. Um, we have been enjoying so much success, and we have been playing so well over the last couple of months that it was bound to happen at some point. And I'm glad that it happened now because now we have something to motivate us again. Not that the Eagles weren't already motivated, but now we have a bad taste. Now we're going to be pushed to go and get another win. And what better team to do it against than our arch rival, the Dallas Cowboys. But going back to this past week, we had a loss, and it was against a division opponent that's really good too. I mean, I have to give the Commanders their props. Jaden Daniels, and he's the truth. I have him on a couple of my fantasy teams, which are in the championship. Well, at least one is in the championship anyway. But Jaden Daniels, he's good. He's probably going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. He lit us up for 5 touchdowns. The defense, for the first time in a long time, got got absolutely trounced. You knew that the Commanders they were going to bring it, um, especially seeing how that first game went. Terry McLaurin, he was he 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 got the best of Quinion, especially after shutting him down the first time, or after being shut down the first time. Terry McLaurin, he I had a feeling that he was going to have something to prove in this game, and uh, they got after us good. So I give them their credit. Um, Jalen Hurts didn't hurt in the first quarter. Um, Obviously, didn't help matters. Getting knocked out of the game with a concussion. Um, and he's not going to play this week either. But you know, if we had Jalen in the game, we probably would have won. Um, there was a couple of things, couple of takeaways from this game. Obviously, that's the big thing, not having Jalen Hurts for the majority of the game. But Kenny Pickett didn't play bad. All right. Obviously, he doesn't have the playmaking ability. He doesn't have the scrambling ability. He doesn't have the. He's not the player that Jalen Hurts is. But Kenny Pickett didn't. It wasn't like we were. It wasn't like we had you know some scrub in there. Kenny Pickett played okay. I'll give him that. He played okay, and we were in position to win the game. The if I'm going to hold anyone's foot to the fire, it's two culprits really, and I'll get to that in just the other one in just a minute. First one was the defense. I mean, you give up 22 points in the third quarter. Was it? give up 22 points in the. I'm sorry, a big part. It was in the fourth quarter. Give up 22 points in the fourth quarter. I mean that's just not that's not cool. Um, the defense really let the Commanders go off that fourth quarter. We had them locked up. we had them we had them dead to rights, especially on that last drive. Um, but the defense they had an off day. Um, but we don't want to see anything like that again. And then the other culprit, um, because I'm gonna call it like I see it. The other culprit was DeVonta Smith. Earlier this year in the Falcons game, or after the Falcons game, I talked about how the Eagles ran a a a play which was a pass instead of a run, and I lamented about how Saquon Barkley has to catch the ball. He catches the ball, the game's over. We win that game. And I love Saquon, but he has to make that play. He has to make that catch. I'm going to keep the same energy for DeVonta. DeVonta Smith, I've said it before. AJ Brown might be the best. He might be the most physically gifted receiver. Excuse me. Still trying to get rid of this cough. This cough's been nagging for some time. Anyway, AJ Brown might be the most physically gifted receiver that the Eagles have, maybe one of our most physically gifted players. But I contend that DeVonta Smith probably has the best hands, and I stand by that. DeVonta Smith, I love him. I love the selection that we took him with a couple of years ago, and I'll continue to love him. But I'm going to call him out. DeVonta's got to make that play. He's got to make that catch. And I understand that no one's going to have a a a, a perfect game. I mean, we're human. We're going to make mistakes. Receivers, even your best receivers, are going to drop passes. That's just how that's just the way it goes in professional football. DeVonta Smith, he dropped a pass. We as Eagles fans, we forgive him. He still has to make the play. I mean, that's really all there is to it. DeVonta Smith has to make that catch. And makes that catch, Eagles likely win that game. And we are 13-2 instead of 12-3. But that's just how it goes, man. And DeVonta, the nice thing about it is that DeVonta knows that he has to make that catch. He talked about it after the game in his post game press conference. He said that, in so many words, he has to make that catch. It's beyond him now. He's moving on. He knows that he has to be better, and he will be better. That's what I love about him. Devontae is he's a good dude, and I know he's going to be better. And fortunately, um, the last couple of games that he's played against the Cowboys, DeVonta Smith has had really good games. So I would not be surprised if he goes off for 100 and maybe a score or two. I think that Devontae, I think that play has been eating at him all week, and I think he's really going to tear into the Cowboys um, this week. I'm really looking for. I also have him on my fantasy team that's in the championship too. So um, I'm really hoping for a huge game from him. So say Saquon Barkley, he popped off in the first half, but once Jalen went out, uh, they really keyed in on him, and so he still had a big game. Ran for a buck 50. Sorry, I refer to the box scores quite often here. But Saquon Barkley, he had 100 and yes, 150 yards on the nose and two touchdowns. Another solid day, another great day for Saquon Barkley. Um, he needs 268 rushing yards to get the all-time record held by Eric Dickerson. Um, well, I can talk about that next time. I want to see what happens in this next game before I talk about that. So I'll save my thoughts on that for the next show. Um, as far as Kenny Pickett goes, Kenny Pickett wasn't terrible. I mean, he wasn't great in place of Jalen, but he wasn't terrible, right? And he's got great players around him. Got a great back that he can hand the ball off to. He's got two great receivers, two Pro Bowl receivers that he can throw to. Kenny Pickett, I think he'll be fine. Just Kellen Moore, he just has to adjust his play calling to fit Kenny Pickett's style of play. Obviously, like I said, he's not the athlete, he's not the player that Jalen Hurts is. But if we can play well, if we can adjust and tailor our offense to Kenny Pickett, I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be fine. Um, as far as our next opponent goes, the Cowboys, um, we should win that game. Cowboys, they've shut down CeeDee Lamb. They don't have Dak Prescott. They're missing a lot of key players. They're a shell of themselves, but they're still going to be coming out to try and wreck our season, to wreck our plans any way they can. So while it is a meaningless game as far as playoff chase goes, we still gotta they still have some good players on that defense. Michael Parsons, he's still a good player, and he said as much in his podcast in interviews this week that he wants to try and mess up the Eagles season. So, you know, Eagles are in the playoffs, but the division still hasn't been decided because of this loss to the Commanders. Um, so we still have to play. We still have some that we have to play for. There's still a very small chance that the Commanders can get it, but there's still a chance nonetheless. So we have to take advantage of this game, and we can't mess around. We got to handle our business, and which I think we will. So yeah, I don't like doing shows after losses, but I got so full off of. I think we as Eagles fans got so full off of successes that we forgot what it's like to lose. So it's a bad loss. So it's a loss that you don't want. But my feeling on the matter is uh, better better to lose now than to continue to win and have a heartbreaker in the playoffs. This loss for the Eagles could be just what they needed to get their minds back in the right space to go out and finish this season strong. So we'll see what happens. I'll be tuning in for this Cowboys game. I think we can do it. I think we can get it. You know, and tough loss, but put it behind us. Get ready for this next game, and let's go out. We always want to beat the Cowboys. Anytime you can beat the Cowboys, and it's actually our first chance to sweep them in since 2011. I saw. We haven't swept the Cowboys since 2011, so there's a little added incentive um to beat them this Sunday. Um, yeah, if you can beat the Cowboys, if you can sweep the Cowboys, it's a successful season. I mean, beating them, even I feel like anytime you can beat the Cowboys or even sweep the Cowboys, it's a successful season. Even if those two games were the only two games that we won all year, if they could both come against the Cowboys, it would still be considered a successful season. So um yeah, let's just go refocus, um get our minds right, get ready to try and finish out this season strong. Um beat the Cowboys. It's always up when we play them. And we'll check back in for the uh, getting close to the home stretch. It's almost playoff time, so we want to make sure that we go in there with a nice little streak with some nice momentum and try to make this run. Go Birds!